Greetings, friends. I'm come to share some thoughts with you about what happened within the life of Jesus a few hours before he went to the Garden of Gethsemane and on to the cross and resurrection. We know that in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, we have an account of the Last Supper where Jesus institutes that great holy sacrament, Holy Communion. But then in John, something else takes place. During that same meal, John does not elaborate on the Last Supper, but he elaborates on foot washing. Foot washing. And so in chapter 13, goes through the whole process Jesus does of washing the disciples' feet. He has a little tiff with Peter, who says, you can't wash my feet, Lord. And he says, I don't wash your feet, you can't serve me. Then Peter says, all right, well, wash all of me, head to toe. Jesus said, you don't need that. I'm just giving you a sign. I'm trying to demonstrate to you how you need to lower yourself in humility to serve other people. And he ends this narrative in John 13 in verse 12. When Jesus had finished washing the feet, he put on the cloths and returned to his place. And then he says, do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them, you call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now I have washed your feet, and I've set an example for you that you should do as I have done. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than the master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent the message. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. This was a washing of the feet experience because Jesus wanted to demonstrate two things. If you're going to be in ministry, you need to learn humility, to humble yourself. And I tell people all the time, if they're thinking about ministry, are you a foot washer? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? And I explain this to them. And, they always say, well, yes, I am. But it's a very important understanding that foot washing is part of ministry, getting down in the trenches and working with people that are in need of help. And going as low as you have to reach the lowest of the lowly, all right? Foot washing. And, in my ministry as a Lutheran pastor, I'm wearing what's called a stole. And it's what we wear in ministry. I've got a picture of one with me and Rivers. When I was ordained, I was wearing a red one because that's the color of ordination. But whether it's white for celebrating special events like Easter or yellow, which this is actually a white one, or a purple for Advent, or green for the season where the church is focusing on growth. These all represent one thing: a towel. Because when Jesus washed the feet of the disciple, he used a towel to dry their feet. So when we're ordained, they put a stole on us as a form of a towel to remind us that we are foot washers first and foremost. Ministry is about getting down and washing feet. In fact, when I was a pastor for 28 years in a church in Connecticut, I used to always wash the feet of my installed board because I wanted them to understand that they were becoming my associate, my assistants, my fellow foot washers. And it was not easy. Sometimes people go, wow, I've never had that done before. But Peter, he resisted because he didn't understand the importance of the symbolism. And that's what's key in this, that sometimes we don't understand what Jesus is doing or the bigger picture, but we all need to do our part. And if you're going to go into ministry, you got to be a foot washer. In fact, if you're going to serve the Lord in any way, you need to be willing to wash other people's feet. I've gone to India several times, and I oversee a ministry there with 12,000 orphans and a litany of other things. And every time I would go and visit a different site, they would always wash my feet with milk. And I used to say, don't use milk. It's expensive. Use water. They said, no, they wanted to honor me. They wanted to honor me. In fact, the man that I minister through from India, every time he comes to the States, when I meet him at the airport, the first thing he does is get down on his knees and kiss my shoes. And I said, why are you doing that? Because I want to honor you, man of God. And men of God, women of God, we need to honor people. We need to be foot washers. We need to understand the symbolic importance of what Jesus did for his 12 and let that carry over into our lives, that we can carry a towel and always be ready to wash the feet of those in need. So, are you a foot washer? Are you a foot washer? Ponder this. I'd love to hear your comments on this one. Reach out to me, hit the comment button on Facebook or Instagram, or if you go to my website, paulteskyministries.com, shoot me a prayer request or a comment. I get back to those every day when they roll in, and they come from all over the world. As I mentioned last week, Rivers and I have really reached 210 countries. There are 195 official countries. Some of these are country states and so on. But we have the ability to track all the places that we go through Instagram and eBlast and Facebook. Amen? So go to my YouTube page, Paul Teskey Ministries at YouTube. I've got over 500 teachings there that are available for you, and then share them with people. If you find something there that you want to share, feel free to do it, because that's what I'm loading that up for you, that you can use them alongside me to minister. Because I know in your heart, you're a foot washer too. Amen? Amen. All God's people said, amen.